convinced he's got about 20 moves all planned. He'll stare down at that little phone like he's saving all the land. He says this one's all calculated with a champion's little grin, then hangs a bishop 2 moves later and says, that's not what I meant. Curtis is the caveman, chess books make him yawn. He don't know if it's theory, he just knows it's gone. He'll play a move so wild and weird, nobody knows why. Even Stockfish throws its hands up and says, I'm gonna lie. Lord, here we go, 3 old boys with too much pride. One's got plans, one's got luck, one just hopes the game's a tie. Somebody's queen is gonna disappear, somebody's ego's gonna get bent. By the end we're all gonna swear that's exactly what I meant. It's 64 squares and 90% bluff. The older we get, the trash talk gets tougher. One takes the trophy, the other 2 cope, till next year's Checkmate Challenge Cup. Nathan smiles real quietly, never seems alarmed. You could have him dead to rights, he somehow does no harm. Half a point's his favorite meal, he'll split it every day. He could find a draw in solitaire somehow anyway. Jimmy the Rook is taking bets, though nobody's paying cash. He's got 10 to 1 on Curtis, making something completely rash. Knightley's calling play-by-play, nearly falls right out his chair. Did he mean to play that night? Curtis says, I got him there. Christopher says, boys, respect the opening. Curtis says, I skipped that chapter. Nathan says, can we just call this one a draw? Everybody, no! There goes Chris, sinking 10 moves deep. There goes Kurt, not thinking that deep. There goes Nate, looking for another half. 3 old friends, still making us laugh. We'll argue about the move that won and whether Curtis knew what he'd done. Win or lose, we'll all agree the real champions, the stories we'll tell for free. So charge up those phones, bring your best game, protect your king, hide your queen, and somebody please keep an eye on Curtis.
Charge your laptops, silence your phones, update your browsers, and say goodbye to your Sunday evening productivity.
That is exactly the kind of energy we need today.
Right. Those are the immortal words of the one and only tournament commentator, Knightley McCheckmate. And honestly, I'm just buzzing for this. Welcome to the deep dive.
Thanks. I'm really excited to get into this one because it is just so wild.
It totally is. So for everyone listening, today you are joining us for a deep dive into a high-stakes championship where, frankly, the biggest threat to the reigning champion isn't, a brilliant tactical mastermind.
I'm definitely not.
No, it's literally a guy who actively ignores the rules.
Yeah.
And an elderly couple who showed up in Las Vegas to watch a game that is happening entirely on the internet.
It really is just this phenomenal collision of worlds. Like the upcoming online Checkmate Challenge Cup, which kicks off on Sunday, July 5th at 7:00 p.m. New Mexico time, by the way, is ostensibly a chess tournament.
Ostensibly being the key word there.
Exactly. Because if you look at the source material we're pulling from today, you really don't need to be a grandmaster to appreciate what is actually happening here. It is, well, it's a real-time, highly volatile psychological study.
Yeah, of how 3 radically different human minds approach the exact same 64 squares on a board.
Right, while battling the absolute chaos of consumer-grade internet connections.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really understand why the internet is completely losing its collective mind over this cup, we kind of have to look at the 3 gladiators stepping into this digital arena.
3 very different gladiators.
Seriously, we have 3 states, 3 competitors, and 3 complete, psychological archetypes. Let's start with the guy wearing what the commentators are calling the invisible crown.
Oh, yes, Christopher Crane.
representing New Mexico. He is the defending champion, and his entire persona is just built on calculation. Like, opponents constantly complain that he overthinks absolutely everything down to, like, the dust on the board.
Yeah, that intense calculation is really the classic burden of a defending champion, you know. Christopher has this massive target painted on his king.
Oh, for sure.
And the pressure of maintaining a title often manifests as this hypervigilance. He wants to dictate the pace of the game. He prefers quiet, highly complex strategic positions where he can just slowly squeeze his opponent.
Yeah, and he absolutely refuses to panic. Like, no matter how complicated the board gets, he just sits there.
Right.
I read his profile, and the level of his analysis is, I mean, it's almost comical. Imagine you're at a restaurant with a friend, right?
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Most people just look at the menu, maybe they pick a burger. Christopher's the guy who mentally calculates the supply chain logistics of the tomatoes.
Naturally.
Yeah, he runs thousands of decision trees on the chef's culinary background, maps out the optimal flavor profiles for the entire table, and then after all that, before anyone else can speak, he finally just orders a glass of tap water.
That is a perfect analogy, because our sources actually note that he sometimes stares at his screen for so long without making a single move. Spectators in the chat room start wondering if he's calculating 20 moves ahead or if his Wi-Fi just died.
Yeah, people are like, did his router unplug? But it's all intentional, right?
Oh, absolutely. That stillness is an incredibly potent weapon. When another player publicly accused him of staring at the board too long during a previous match, his response was just so cold and brilliant.
Oh, I love this quote. Tell them what he said.
He said, "I'm just giving you extra time to realize you're losing."
Brutal. I mean, just absolute trash talk wrapped in politeness.
Exactly. He isn't just running mathematical equations in his head. You know, he is actively weaponizing time. He knows that absolute silence and physical stillness make opponents incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah, he just lets them stew in their own anxiety while the clock ticks down.
Exactly.
It is such a massive flex. He is playing the long game. But then if Christopher is the ultimate strategist, we have to look at the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Enter our challenger from Idaho.
Yes, Curtis, affectionately known as the Caveman.
Now, I have to push back a little here because I am looking at his track record in our sources, and I just don't buy it.
You don't buy that he's good?
I mean, at the championship level, preparation is everything, right? We are talking about players who memorize variations 20 moves deep.
They absolutely do.
So how does a guy whose strategy is essentially, hit board with club and hope good things happen, actually win? Aren't they just playing objectively bad chess?
Well, I mean, it sounds completely counterintuitive. But to understand why Curtis wins, we have to talk about how Grandmaster brains actually work.
Okay, break it down for us.
There is this concept in cognitive psychology called chunking. When you or I look at a chessboard, we see 32 individual pieces that we have to process one by one, right?
Like, okay, there's a knight, there's a pawn. Exactly. But when a master looks at a board, they don't see individual pieces. They see recognizable patterns or chunks. It's like how you read a book. You don't read individual letters anymore. You instantly recognize whole words and sentences.
Oh, okay. So their brains are basically on autopilot for the first phase of the game because they've seen these exact same patterns a million times.
Precisely. They rely on what we call opening theory, which is the mathematically perfect, heavily memorized first 10 to 15 moves of a game that have been established over centuries of play.
Wow, centuries.
Yeah, and they also memorize what chess engines, the supercomputers that can calculate billions of variations a second recommend for every situation.
So Christopher probably has like 6 notebooks of preparation just on optimal computer lines?
Easily. But Curtis, on the other hand, ignores all of it.
The chat room literally joked that while Christopher has 6 notebooks of theory, Curtis has 1 sticky note on his monitor that just says, "Don't lose queen."
And that is so accurate. What's fascinating here is that his complete disregard for theory is actually his superpower.
Wait, really? How does playing badly help you?
Because by playing something weird, he drags his highly prepared opponents out of their comfort zones by, like, move 3. Suddenly, Christopher can't rely on his memory or his chunking anymore.
Oh, because the pattern is broken.
Exactly. He's forced to use active, slow, exhausting, deliberate thinking, which psychologists call System 2 thinking.
I see.
So while Christopher is burning 10 minutes of his clock trying to figure out the hidden genius behind Curtis's weird move, Curtis is spending about 4 seconds looking at the screen and saying, this one looks good.
That is amazing. There is actually a story in the sources where Curtis played a move so strange, his opponent spent 20 minutes sweating trying to calculate the deep hidden tactical trap behind it.
Yep, and what happened?
It turns out there was no trap. He just moved a piece because he felt like it. The spectators are saying he doesn't fear chess engines, he barely acknowledges gravity.
It's true. As Knightley McCheckmate pointed out in his commentary, chess historians call Curtis's style unorthodox. But scientists say they honestly can't explain it.
It defies physics.
Think about it this way. Imagine you spend 10 years training for a highly technical fencing tournament. You learn every parry, every thrust, every rule of footwork.
Okay.
You step onto the mat, and your opponent shows up, screams, and throws a folding chair at you.
Right.
Your fencing training does not help you in that exact moment. You just have to deal with the flying chair. That is the experience of playing Curtis.
A human wrecking ball disguised as a chess player. Which, I mean, makes the dynamic so wild, because if Curtis's entire strategy is to set the board on fire, our third player's strategy is to put the fire out before the game even starts.
Oh, Nathan.
Yes, enter our wild card from Texas, Nathan, the famous draw. This guy has elevated the half point to an absolute art form. If international peace treaties played chess, they would be Nathan.
That is so true. Nathan's approach is deeply mathematical and incredibly risk-averse, taken to a fascinating extreme.
Explain the math for the listeners real quick.
Sure. In chess, a win gets you 1 point, a draw gets you half a point, and a loss gets you 0. Most players collect wins. Nathan collects halves.
He just loves a tie.
He does. And the mechanics of how he forces these draws is an absolute nightmare to play against.
See, this is what I don't get. How does he actually force it? Because if I am playing him and I really want to win, can't I just refuse the draw?
Well, you can refuse a verbal offer of a draw, but you can't refuse the physics of the board.
What do you mean?
Nathan employs a strategy where he systematically trades off all the aggressive pieces, the queens, the knights, the rooks, as fast as legally possible.
So he just clears the board.
Exactly. He actively sucks the life and complexity out of the position until the board is completely dead. He forces a scenario where neither player has enough physical material left on the board to mathematically deliver a checkmate.
Wow.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if you want to win, he removes your tools to do so.
That is infuriating. It's actually driven the odds makers insane. Vegas actually stopped taking bets on whether Nathan would draw and just started pre-printing the score sheets ahead of time.
Which is just hilarious.
And when a reporter pointed out to him that he doesn't actually win very often, his response was just one word. He just said, details.
Details! I love it. He fundamentally refuses to validate the binary of winning and losing. He sees a chess game as a dangerous ecosystem, and his only goal is to survive it without a scratch.
He is a survivor.
Truly. He even responded to a question about his strategy during a press conference by saying, "I neither confirm nor deny equal positions."
That sounds like a politician.
It does.
Yeah.
The organizers actually got so frustrated with his constant offers for a peaceful resolution that they forcibly disabled the offer draw button on the digital platform until move 10.
Which Nathan officially went on the record to call, quote, deeply unfair. I love it so much.
It's so good.
We have the hypercalculator in New Mexico, the caveman throwing chairs in Idaho, and the ultimate diplomat in Texas. But the reason this specific tournament is generating so much buzz isn't just the clash of these three minds.
No, it's the medium.
Exactly. Because they are clashing entirely online, it introduces this layer of technological chaos that you would never, ever see in a traditional silent Grandmaster hall.
The digital arena completely changes the parameters of competition.
Yeah.
In a physical hall, you have physical presence. You have rigid etiquette, perfectly calibrated digital clocks, and absolute pin-drop silence.
Right. FIDE, which for anyone who doesn't know is the International Chess Federation, the governing body of the game, they have incredibly strict rules about physical behavior.
Exactly. But online, you are battling the game, the user interface, and your own household infrastructure.
And the official rules released for this specific tournament highlight exactly how absurd it gets. Let me read a few of these because I literally couldn't stop laughing when I saw them.
Go for it.
Okay. Rule 1. No pants required, provided the webcam stays above the shoulders.
Essential.
Rule 2. Chess engines are strictly prohibited. Rule 3. Excuses about lag are unlimited, but will be ignored. And my personal favorite. Saying I slipped after hanging a queen is not a recognized FIDE defense.
Ah, yes. The infamous mouse slip.
Yeah.
We should probably clarify what hanging a queen means here for the listener.
Good idea.
So, the queen is your most powerful piece. To hang it means to move it to a square where it's completely unprotected, allowing your opponent to just take it for free.
Which is disastrous.
Right. In physical chess, if you touch a piece, you have to move it. It's a very deliberate physical action. It's incredibly rare for a grandmaster to accidentally leave their queen unprotected.
Because they have to physically reach out, pick it up, and place it on the wrong square.
Exactly. But online, you are dragging and dropping a digital icon with a computer mouse. A slight twitch of the wrist, a microscopic crumb under your mouse pad, a momentary lag in your internet connection.
Dog bumps your elbow?
Yes. And suddenly your most valuable piece is dropped on the wrong square, just sitting in enemy territory for absolutely no logical reason.
It's just a total tragedy.
And because it's online, those blunders don't happen in a quiet, polite hall. They happen in front of thousands of people, and they immediately become permanent internet folklore.
Which brings me to this. Here's where it gets really interesting. I was looking at the prop bets for this event, and they tell you everything you need to know about the culture surrounding this chaos.
Oh, Jimmy the Rook.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jimmy the Rook, who is the tournament's completely unofficial, highly questionable bookmaker, he released his betting lines, and the meta humor is just spectacular.
What are the odds looking like?
Well, for Christopher to repeat as champ, the odds are 2-1. Pretty standard. But then Jimmy has a line for an internet disconnect, deciding a championship game sitting at 8-1.
Which, frankly, is entirely plausible.
Very plausible. He also has Nathan offering a draw while winning the game at 2-1.
That tracks.
Curtis asking the chat room, which one's the bishop again? As psychological warfare is 7-1. And my absolute favorite, someone forgetting the tournament is online and asking where the bathroom is, sits at 14-1.
Jimmy is a perfect representation of the community. It's highly competitive, but they absolutely refuse to take themselves too seriously.
No, not at all. And the best part about all these betting lines is Jimmy's self-proclaimed lock of the century.
Oh, what is it?
The lock of the century is that Jimmy loses money on imaginary bets.
Of course.
Because none of this is real money. He posted an update claiming, quote, "I've already lost money somehow."
That is amazing.
The fans just eat this up. Online chess has evolved the audience from passive observers into an active, rolling commentary track. Like, the chat room for this event is an entirely separate psychological battleground.
It really is. Historically, chess spectators had to sit in quiet reverence. If you coughed in a tournament hall, you might get escorted out.
Oh, wow, that's strict.
Very strict. Now, competitors have thousands of people analyzing their every micro decision in real time, spamming memes, and running computer engines in the background to point out every single mistake a player makes.
Yeah, and 30 minutes before round one even starts, the chat is already throwing elbows. I was reading through the logs, and you have a user named TheoryNerd88 who posted, "Curtis eats opening theory for breakfast."
Accurate.
And when someone replied to agree with him, TheoryNerd88 immediately responded, "That wasn't a compliment."
The debates over Nathan's draws are even more intense. Like, a user named Engine Enjoyer argued that Nathan's game should legally have to come with a peace treaty document.
That's incredible.
And when a fan tried to defend Nathan, arguing that a half point is still better than 0, the immediate response was, "Half a pizza isn't dinner."
It's savage. The chat room perfectly understands the psychology of these players, too. They were debating what happens when these specific styles collide.
Right, the matchups.
Yeah, someone predicted that if Christopher the Calculator and Nathan the Diplomat play, the game will be 4 hours of agonizing, slow strategy that ends in a tie anyway. But if Christopher plays Curtis, nobody on Earth knows what's happening after move 4.
It is the classic unstoppable force of Curtis's chaos, meeting the immovable object of Christopher's preparation.
Yeah, the chat noted that Christopher's biggest vulnerability is his tendency to overthink, while Curtis's biggest strength is his complete inability to overthink.
One fan even joked that Curtis once played an opening so strange the chess engine actually paused out of respect.
But, you know, for all this internet hype, all these digital avatars, chat rooms, and imaginary prop bets, the energy for this event actually spilled over into the real world in the most wholesome and, frankly, confusing way possible.
Ah, you're talking about the Las Vegas incident.
Yes. If you are listening to this, you have to picture this scenario. Harold and Betty Wilkins. They are a married couple in their late 70s, huge chess fans. They somehow acquired these printed laminated tickets that read, "Checkmate Challenge Cup, VIP front row, row A, seat 1 and 2.
Which, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Knightley McCheckmate later admitted on his stream were created strictly as a digital joke.
Right, they weren't real.
No, they were novelty images meant to be shared on social media. But Harold and Betty printed them out, laminated them, and took them incredibly seriously.
They packed their bags, traveled to Las Vegas, and walked around a massive casino floor for 2 hours looking for board one. Harold is literally walking through the slot machines with binoculars around his neck.
Oh my gosh.
Betty actually packed theater opera glasses. They kept stopping casino staff to ask where the Checkmate arena was.
And the casino staff, operating in the physical reality of Las Vegas, naturally assumed they were looking for a boxing match or, like, a UFC fight.
Right, because that makes sense in Vegas.
The complete disconnect between digital native internet culture and traditional real-world event expectations is perfectly encapsulated in that moment. When the staff asked if they meant the boxing ring at Caesar's Palace, Harold just looked at them and said, "No. Where's Christopher?"
They truly thought Christopher Crane, the defending champ from New Mexico, was just sitting at a wooden table in a Vegas ballroom waiting for his opponent.
They did.
When the casino manager finally sat them down and explained that the entire tournament was being played with the competitors sitting in their own homes hundreds of miles apart, Christopher in his living room in New Mexico, Curtis in Idaho, Nathan in Texas, Harold, just stared silently into the distance for a solid minute.
But what is so fascinating about this story is how the players reacted when the internet caught wind of Harold and Betty wandering around Vegas.
Oh, this is the best part.
Their responses perfectly mirrored the psychological archetypes we've been discussing. Christopher, the thoughtful, calculating champion, issued a statement saying he felt terrible for the mix-up, and if they somehow showed up at his house in New Mexico, he'd let them sit in his living room to watch.
So sweet. And Curtis, the caveman, offered a highly practical, unpretentious solution. He just tweeted, "I've got folding chairs in Idaho."
Perfect. And Nathan, the man who only sees halves in negotiations.
What did he do?
Nathan immediately asked the tournament directors, "If the fans don't make it to the venue, does that count as a draw?"
He was ready to negotiate a peace treaty with their absents to secure another half point.
He never stops working.
Even Jimmy the Rook couldn't resist. He updated the Vegas prop odds in real time. He put Harold accidentally finding the tournament venue anyway at 5,001.
Amazing.
And Betty teaching everyone in the Twitch chat proper chess etiquette at 12-1.
It perfectly captures the bizarre charm of this entire tournament. You have a hyper-modern, digitally isolated event played across different time zones, yet it still generates this incredibly pure, grassroots, very human passion.
And the resolution to the Harold and Betty saga is just so sweet. Harold asked the casino officials, "So, if the game is on the computer, can we at least boo through the internet?"
Valid question.
Totally valid. When they were told yes, the chat room is open to everyone, they didn't pack up and go home. They found a quiet cafe inside the Vegas casino, ordered 2 slices of pie and coffee, opened up a laptop, and watched the entire tournament online right there.
Betty gave a quote to a local reporter that summed it up perfectly. She said, "They may be in New Mexico, Idaho, and Texas, but we're still front row."
And Harold noted that the cafe pie was significantly cheaper than arena food, so it was a win-win. They were officially named the longest distance fans of the Cup. And those useless laminated joke tickets are now apparently priceless collector's items in the online chess community.
It just proves that the physical location of the arena doesn't actually matter anymore. The arena isn't Las Vegas. The arena is the shared psychological focus of thousands of people watching that digital board at the exact same moment.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this right now? I mean, whether you are someone who mentally maps out every detail of your life and calculates every risk like Christopher,
Or you just wing it with pure, terrifying confidence and throw metaphorical chairs like Curtis.
or maybe you are constantly seeking a peaceful compromise and a half point like Nathan. There is a place for your style on the board. Chess really is just a mirror of the mind. How you handle a collapsing position or an unexpected attack says a lot about how you process information and stress in the real world.
It really does. And as Knightley McCheckmate advised the competitors before the digital clock started ticking, we'll see you Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday night. Until then, protect your king and your dignity.
Which is great advice for all of us, honestly.
It is. But I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. We spent this entire time analyzing how these 3 incredible minds battle each other's strategies, right?
Yeah.
We talked about chunking and forcing draws and breaking patterns. But in a fully online format where you are sitting entirely alone in your own house, miles away from another human being, is your ultimate opponent actually the person on the other side of the screen?
Oh.
Or, when things start going wrong, is the real match The psychological battle against your own isolation, your own impatience, and the relentless, glaring, blinking cursor of that digital clock.
Wow. When it is just you and a screen, maybe the biggest blunder you can make is forgetting to update your browser.
Yeah.
Keep your Wi-Fi strong and your excuses ready. Until next time, thanks for diving deep with us.
Straight from the mind to your speakers. Ravenheart Beats Studio.